I just accidentally ate a cat egg. I found that my hands grew dragon scales. And then my body suddenly started to shrink until I turned into a golden dragon egg. And what's even more incredible is this dragon egg turned out to be the 10th son of the Dragon King. It is said that a dragon are different. But this time, my older brothers had started to be born one after another. The eldest Kinu broke the shell first, although he was small, with excellent hearing, dragon and snake body, with warm jade color. Legend has it that Kayuniyu, he was born as the embodiment of elegance and power. Then the second Sunya broke the eggshell and rose into sky. He is the most ferocious, with wood hands and with red eyes. He is fierce and bloodthirsty. The most amazing thing, in his mouth, he was holding a half-buried bone sword. The monstrous resentment and murderous intent were innate. The third one, Chai, resembles a coiled beast, like a dragon and a phoenix, born to be risky. He likes to climb high, with a whirlwind around, with a look of arrogance that looked down on the world. Then there was a deafening roar. Although the fourth brother Pulu is not big, but has the loudest voice among the brothers. He has purple scales, with a strange pattern on his throat. A mere cry turns into a rolling thunder. Ding! The fifth is Swan and is surrounded by incense smoke, like an ancient Buddha in meditation, but the occasional golden light in his half-open eyes. Boom! The ground sank sharply. The sixth Baxia also crawled out of the dragon egg, on his back carrying a heavy turtle shell stone tablet naturally, with thick limbs like pillars, although it moves slowly, but every step shook the earth. The seventh Bayan has a body like a dragon, with black and white stripes on its body, showing solemnity and fairness. The eighth Fushin has the most dragon-like body. It was born wrapped around on a stone pillar engraved with ancient runes. Its body moves along with the runes, as if reading the truth of the world. It has a rare scholarly air of the dragon race. The ninth Sun, breaking through waves, dragon head and fish body. It likes to eat. It opened its huge mouth at birth, as if to swallow a world, seeing that his 9 sons had hatched. The Dragon King also stared closely at the 10th egg, but at this time was curled up in a hard dragon egg. Since my brothers are so brave, as the 10th son, I certainly didn't want to fall behind. I tried my best. I hit the eggshell with my head, with a crack. The eggshell finally broke. However, what no one in the Dragon Clan expected was no golden light, nor fairy music. There was only a little green worm, and it was also sniffling. I looked at my body in horror. I couldn't believe I had become a slime with a little dragon scale. At this moment, the air seemed to freeze completely. My father Eozone in midair. The huge dragon tomb that was full of expectations suddenly widened. The light in his eyes changed from pride to disbelief. Eozone slapped the dragon chair. The pure gold armrest instantly turned to powder. He instantly teleported in front of me. The terrifying dread pressured me almost to explode.
I was wise all my life, with noble blood. How could I have given birth to such a disgusting bug?
Fujin's voice was trembling. It was a trembling of anger. The surrounding shrimp soldiers and cracked their laughter. That look was more painful than killing me. I struggled to move my body, to get closer to him.
Get away from me. Throw this thing out for me. Throw it to the outermost dead land of 10,000 mountains. I don't want to see him in the Dragon Palace. Just say the 10th miscarriage to the outside world.
The word aborted sentenced me to death and deprived me of my status as a dragon. A hideous sea patrol rakshasa strode over. With a sneer on his face, he stretched out his hand full of spines and pinched my body like a bed bug and lifted me up.
No.
I'm not reconciled. Is this my destiny? However, just as I was lifted in the air by the Yaksha, about to be thrown out of the enchantment.
Detecting the host's extreme grief. Abandoned by my blood relatives. Beasts devoured. Purification system woke up.
At this time, I didn't know what this sound was, and the cold sea water had already passed through my body. The Sea Patrol Yaksha carried me all the way north. To humiliate me, he deliberately did not use the water avoidance spell. The huge pressure of deep sea, squeezing my fragile body, making me feel like my internal organs were displaced.
Hey, the prominent new prince. Don't blame me for being important. Blame yourself for your bad luck. You were born as a dragon, but you're a coward. The Dragon King is proud. Today, you have humiliated him in front of the sea dragons. It's already a great mercy to leave you. Is already a great favor.
I can't speak. I could only grit my teeth. The splendid lights of the Dragon Palace faded away, and the surrounding sea turned black. This is the edge of the sea, further ahead, the 10,000 mountains, known as the Forbidden Land. There is no aura, only countless ferocious beasts and poisonous miasma. The Yasha stopped. A grey beach lies ahead, where the sea water was a dead black color. He held me, like carrying a chicken to be slaughtered.
Originally, the Dragon King asked me to throw you away. But although you don't have dragon meat, but this layer of skin is green. If I soak it in wine, maybe it can grow some demonic power.
In the turbid yellow eyes of the Rakshasa suddenly flashed a greedy and fierce light. He changed his mind. He wants to eat me. I twisted my body desperately, but in his rough, big hands, I was like a powerless earthworm.
No one will come to save you.
Your brothers are enjoying the worship of all immortals.
Who will remember you? A worm.
The Rakshasa grinned and opened his mouth full of yellow teeth. The disgusting smell of fishy stench came towards me.
Right now, I'm roaring wildly in my heart.
Ding! Detecting the host's life is threatened. The newbie gift package is on. Congratulations on getting passive skill Devour Evolution Core Skill. Congratulations on getting the active skill Deadly Fangs. Skill description of LV1. Deadly Fangs, your teeth will have ancient poison and armor piercing effects. Ignore physical bodies within 2 realms higher than the host. Defense is useless.
A hot current instantly rushed into my mouth. The originally soft breath suddenly hurt, then too sharp and cold.
Sharp and cold fangs seem to contain endless death. Growing out.
The Rakshasa's huge mouth was already in front of me.
It wanted to bite off my head first. I stopped struggling. Instead, I exerted force. Marty bounced like a spring.
And bit down on the tongue that the Rakshasa was sticking out.
The sound of a blade cutting into tofu came. The deadly fangs.
Dong let out a scream of extreme pain.
Pierced the silent Deadpool instantly. My teeth instantly pierced the demon's tongue. The black venom followed the wound, was injected into his body.
The tyranny of the ancient poison is beyond imagination.
In just a moment,
His tongue began to turn into black water.
the Rakshasa was in convulsions and subconsciously let go. I fell on the black beach and fell in a daze, but I didn't care about the pain.
The Rakshasa covered his mouth and rolled on the ground. The poison flowed down his throat and into his stomach. His face was quickly covered with black lines.
And his skin began to fester, and black smoke was coming out. He was a foundation-building demon, was bitten to pieces by me. This system is too strong.
I looked at the huge monster screaming and rolling on the ground.
The original fear in my heart disappeared, was replaced by a hunger that I had never felt before.
It was an instinctive devouring from the depths of my soul.
You are the first one to bully me.
And you will be the first ghost to become my food.
I squirmed my body. I slowly climbed up his neck. I opened my mouth.
And bit into the carotid artery on his neck again. The demonic blood full of aura poured into my body.
Detecting energy intake. During Foundation, experience value of Yasha blood. Gain 500 experience. Congratulations on level up. Level 5. Current realm. The 5th level of Ki.
An unprecedented sense of power fills my body. My body began to change. My body, which was originally only finger thick, quickly expanded to the thickness of an arm. The emerald skin began to deepen. A light layer appeared on the surface, a layer of metal-like keratin. The Yasha's body began to shrivel at a visible speed, and finally turned into a mummy and dissipated.
I finished Devour. I got the loot. Primary underwater breathing. I got the trait Iron Skin.
I coiled on the beach. I felt the surging power in my body. 5th level of Ki, compared with my brothers who were golden pills. It's still a world apart, but to reach this level, I only spent a stick of incense. I looked up and looked into the crystal palace that was still brightly lit. I could still hear the sound of silk and bamboo, and laughter. They are celebrating that the Dragon Clan has 9 genius, and the abandoned 10th son in their hearts is probably already a corpse. His own, my father. Q knew Yazai, and my brothers. You wait and see. Today, I am a worm, rejected by you like a shoe, but in the future, I'll be a dragon. I will make the seawater flow back to the sky. I turned around, with my back to the dragon, and plunged into the dark forest full of death and danger behind me. 10,000 mountains, and my evolutionary journey has just begun. Suddenly, a strange sound came from the grass. I turned around alertly. I saw a basin-sized, a largeful, and poisonous wolf spider was lying on the trunk, 8 compound eyes staring at me coldly. Obviously, it regarded me as a freshly delivered delicacy. If it were before, I would have been scared, but now I grinned and showed the fangs still stained with the black blood of Yasha, and made a low insect chirp. The colorful wolf spider moved. It didn't take me as a bug and to take it lightly. This is the law of survival in the 10,000 mountains. The lion fights a hare, use all its strength. A piercing sound rang out. The tarantula didn't pounce directly, but shrank its abdomen. The white spider silk shot towards me like a sword. I subconsciously wanted to dodge sideways. The newly evolved fat body obviously hasn't adapted to this high-intensity combat rhythm. With a plop, the sticky spider silk accurately stuck to my tail and firmly nailed me to the ground. The wolf spider's 8 long legs kicked hard, turned into a shadow, and in an instant it pounced in front of me. Its 2 huge fangs glowed with a blue light and stabbed my head fiercely. If it were an ordinary greenworm, would be directly killed and sucked dry of brain. But I'm not. I thought about it. The black luster on my body instantly solidified. Characteristic on a crisp sound of gold and iron rang out. The wolf spider's originally sure-hit attack was like biting on granite. The huge recoil force, stopping his movement for a moment. I even clearly heard the crackle sound from the root of its fangs. He was stunned. His simple insect brain clearly couldn't understand why a soft and limp meatworm could be harder than stone. Fool. It's my turn again. I didn't miss this opportunity while its fangs were numbed by the shock and unable to retract. I suddenly jumped up my upper body and twisted my neck at an incredible angle. I opened the mouth that didn't match its size. The skill is deadly. Its venomous fangs white and sharp deeply pierced the wolf spider, the furry abdominal connection, which is the weakest part of its shell. The tarantula let out a painful cackle. Its 8 legs kicked wildly, trying to shake me off, but I held on tightly. The ancient poison in its fangs was like bungee jumping and injected into its body in 1 second. In just 1 second, the wolf spider's struggle weakened. Its originally colorful body quickly turned black. those hard legs and feet began to soften.
and finally collapsed on the ground like mud.
Bang! Killed a 3-layer colorful wolf spider. Failed to challenge. Experience points slightly I gained 50 experience points.
Only 50 points. It seems that it grows slowly. I let go of it. I was not satisfied. I lowered my head and started to enjoy the spoils.
Swallowing in progress. Obtained biological trait. Congratulations, you have acquired a new skill, Kanji Silk. Skill description, Kanji Silk. The host can spit out extremely tough silk from mouth. The silk is sticky, which can be used to bind enemy, to set traps, or as a means of movement. The strength of the silk increases with the host's level.
I was overjoyed. This is exactly the ability I need most at present, although I have high defense, but my movement speed is too slow. I rely on wriggling. With this spider silk, I can be like Spider-Man. Like a flexible hanged ghost, I can shuttle through the woods. I tried my luck. A tickle in my throat, and then a crystal clear silk thread sprayed out and precisely stuck to a branch above. I contracted my abdomen. My originally bulky body instantly lifted off and swung lightly to the top of the trunk. I coiled in the dense canopy of the tree, overlooking the black forest below from a high place. This is the periphery of 10,000 Mountains, although it's dangerous. But for me now, it's like an endless buffet for me to eat. The system displays the panel.
Host Aotian.
Race's ancient void god Slayer Valley.
Level 5 of key refining period. Fatal fangs devouring purification underwater breathing. Thousand Silk's trait is iron skin. The next stage of evolution requires foundation.
Seeing the last line of words,
My eyes narrowed.
to break through the foundation, it is not enough to just eat these common insects. I must have a high-level bloodline. In these 100,000 mountains, the dragon-blooded Yalong beasts are rare, but they do exist.
Just as I was thinking about my next plan.
In the depths of the forest, there was a deafening roar from the depths of the forest. Then the ground trembled slightly. Countless birds rose up in terror. A strong smell of blood drifted over the wind. It was the smell of a foundation-building monster fight. I didn't feel any fear in my heart, but a strong excitement surged in me. The snipe and muscle, the fisherman gains. If the foundation establishment monsters were fighting, maybe I can pick up a bargain. I can directly get the materials to break through. I'll get it all. I spit out a long silk of Kianji, sticking to the big tree ahead. My body swung through the forest like a swing and rushed towards the direction where the roar came from. After a stick of I conceal my breath. I disguised my body as a dead tree. I lie on the top of a huge ancient tree branch. I cautiously stick my head out and look down. In the open space below, two huge creatures were fighting frantically. On the left is a giant tiger burning with flames. Every paw can melt a rock. This is the fire tiger at the early stage of foundation. On the right is a 10-foot long, covered with blue scales, with a single horn on its head, green-scaled unicorn snake. It's also in the middle stage. The python's abdomen bulges, as if it had just swallowed something important. It moves a bit slowly. It was being beaten. But what made me fix my eyes on the python was not its size, but the prompt box popped up by the system.
Detecting a high-level prey. Target tingling one-horned python's bloodline and a trace of dragon bloodline. Prompt to devour. This monster can perfectly meet the bloodline requirement for the first step.
Although it's just a thin bloodline, but for me now it's a priceless medicine.
It is a priceless medicine.
And the python was obviously injured. At the 7-inch, there was a deep scratch visible to the bone, and was gushing blood. I held my breath. I pressed my body tightly against the bark, and even my heartbeat was at its lowest. It's a risky bet.
I'm waiting for them to both be injured.
Until the last moment, the moment of seizing creation. The battle below has entered a fever pitch. The fire tiger is obviously a very cunning hunter.
He didn't rush to bite the python to death.
Instead, it used its flexible body, constantly circling around the python, and occasionally spews a fireball to roast the python. The 7-inch wound that had been torn apart, the air was filled with a burnt smell.
Kinglin.
The bulging thing in the belly of the one-horned python, obviously seriously dragging down its speed, it rolled in pain. Its huge snake tail whipped the ground frantically, sweeping the big tree that several people could embrace. But it couldn't hit the flexible fire tiger. The python was finally pushed. It suddenly opened its mouth. A strange cyan light appeared on the single horn. I lay on the tree. I saw the green light on the horn, suddenly gathered into a lightning pillar as thick as a bucket, and instantly hit the fire tiger. This is its innate supernatural power, Qingmulei. The fire tiger didn't expect.
This dying snake
Could still unleash such a terrifying attack. It couldn't dodge.
so it could only swing its claws to resist.
With a loud bang, a violent explosion, which made my ears buzz. The violent airwave was mixed with rubble and sawdust, and splashed around. I was almost blown off the tree by this airwave.
I quickly spit out some silk.
Too firmly tie myself to the tree trunk, the smoke cleared. The scene was extremely tragic. The invincible fire tiger. Half of its body was scorched by lightning. One front paw was drooping softly, which was obviously use. It lay on the ground, breathing heavily, and for the first time, it showed a retreat. The green-scaled one-horned python worse, although this hit dealt a heavy blow. But the overuse of demonic power obviously hurt him. He was paralyzed on the ground. The originally high snake head drooped feebly. The snake's eyes that once shone with fierceness also became dim and dull.
It's a rhythm of mutual destruction, but the next second,
The fire tiger struggled to stand up, although seriously, but his ferocity didn't. He saw that the python was already at its end, and staggered towards the python. It opened its mouth, which was still dripping blood, aiming at the python's 7-inch.
it was about to reap the victory.
If the tiger eats the snake, I'll lose everything.
Not only will the puration fail,
And the tiger might recover from its injuries. And recover. The next one to die would be me. I must not let it succeed. I took a deep breath. Although I was terrified, but fortune favors the brave. Just as the magic tiger lowered its head to bite, I shot Spider Silk. The Spider Silk didn't shoot at the magic tiger, nor the giant python,
but towards the rock hanging directly above.
a huge broken rock hanging overhead.
When the python just swept its tail and broke the cliff, loose boulder, weighing 1,000 catties,
I pulled the Spider Silk down with all my strength,
the already precarious rock finally lost its balance with a whistling wind,
straight towards the fire tiger below. The Fire Devil Tiger was concentrating on enjoying a meal.
and would not notice the danger above. When he heard the wind and looked up,
He only saw a huge black shadow covering his sight.
a dull and extremely loud bang, the 1,000-jin stone, hit it squarely.
Hit the already seriously injured back of the tiger. Mongu only had time to let out a short wail, and his whole body was directly smashed into the soil.
The sound of the broken spine was painful. His limbs twitched a few times and was completely still.
I was overjoyed.
But before I could laugh out loud,
The seemingly dying Kingming unicorn snake,
actually moved at this moment,
his pair of venomous snake eyes suddenly opened.
staring at the canopy where I was hiding. Only then did I realize he had already found me. He was deliberately to lure the magic tiger closer,
Or lure me, the little bug hiding in the dark, to show up. Then a stench came towards me.
although the python was badly hurt.
But the speed of its last-ditch counterattack was still amazing.
It opened its bloody mouth,
At that moment, I could even see deep in his throat.
a deer antler that hadn't been digested yet.
It's too late to run. At the critical moment, a crazy idea flashed through my mind. Since you open your mouth so wide to eat me,
Then I will fulfill you.
instead of retreating, I suddenly shrank into a ball, like a cannonball, and shot into its mouth on my own initiative. Poof! I rushed into the mouth full of mucus and stench. The python obviously did. This snack would come to him voluntarily, and subconsciously closed his mouth to us. And this is exactly my purpose.
Just before it closed its mouth, I suddenly spread out my body on its inner wall,
All skills on, open the iron skin.
and deadly fangs open,
I aimed at the softest part.
and the most densely vascular palate.
I stabbed it hard. This is not just a venomous bite, but also switched to the full power mode of devouring. The python let out the most miserable howl of its life, not because of pain, but because of fear. It felt an irresistible suction force was erupting in its mouth. The demonic power, essence and blood, even the precious dragon bloodline, were flowing out through the wound. It frantically shook its head to spit out what was in its mouth. But I'm now a nail, a poisonous nail growing on his life gate.
It's being devoured. Foundation. Demon Beast Essence detects the dragon bloodline being refined. Warning, the energy is too huge. The host's body is about to reach its limit.
I feel like I'm like a balloon that is about to explode.
The hot dragon blood is washing my meridians. The pain was like taking a bath in magma.
But I dare not stop, because stopping means death. I roared in my heart.
My consciousness began to blur.
Only the instinct of devouring is running wildly. Finally,
The wildly swinging tongue gradually slowed down. The giant python's huge body fell to the ground and raised a cloud of dust.
its eyes were still wide open, filled with fear and unwillingness. He never thought that the dignified master of Foundation would die in a bug without even a hand in its mouth.
Devouring completed. Congratulations on successfully killing the green spirit. And gained a lot of experience points. Congratulations on successfully refining the dragon blood. The condition for minor evolution. The first racial evolution is starting.
At this moment, completely fell into darkness.
But at the last moment before coma, I felt my body cracking open, not the kind of crack caused by injury, but the prelude to breaking the cocoon.
The darkness was endless. I was floating in a warm, bloody ocean, surrounded by countless broken golden dots. They were the fragments of the dragon blood I swallowed.
But in my body, that originally belonged to, and the tyrannical genes of Valley, is like a black hole-like net,
Trapping these golden light spots tightly.
and crushed and fused. Soon, the deep bone-piercing pain woke me up from a coma with a sudden pain. With a snap, I heard the sound of my own body breaking. The once proud layer of iron skin now looked like dry old bark, was peeling off piece by piece. I'm molting, but I couldn't move. My body was wrapped in a huge blood-red cocoon. This is the silk I instinctively spit out before I pat.
Which is mixed with the essence of the python.
The temperature inside is scary, as if there was a fire burning every inch of my flesh and blood, and then recast in the ashes.
99% of racial evolution. I'm reshaping my body. My bones are fusing with the dragon's talent. Congratulations on your success.
A terrifying power burst out of my body.
Burst out of my body.
The blood-colored cocoon burst open. I opened my eyes sharply, which were originally the size of, now turned into a pair of vertical pupils, golden vertical pupils, which is the sign of the dragon. I looked down and looked at my new body. I was no longer that limp, green and limp big green caterpillar.
Now my body length has grown to 3 meters.
My body is covered with a layer of black gold scales,
Each scale has sharp barbs on its edge.
shining with a metallic chill,
My sides are no longer bare, but have grown for pairs of strong and powerful limbs.
which are similar to insect legs, but the ends are sharp dragon claws. What surprises me most is my head,
The originally ugly bug head became angular,
and it has a vague outline of a dragon head.
and a single horn grew on its head, which is inherited from the green-scaled horned snake. But this horn is black, surrounded by a faint black gas. It's not a dragon. It's more like an ancient magic worm with dragon scales. My cultivation has reached a beach.
I waved my sharp front paws.
I easily scratched a deep gully on the hard granite. It was as easy as cutting tofu. Now, if I meet that fire tiger again, even in its prime, I have the confidence to tear it to pieces. Perhaps it was the change. Made me feel extremely hungry at this moment. I looked aside. The still not completely cold fire tiger, although the corpse has been dead for a while. But after all, it's the flesh of the Juji machine. Can't be wasted. I crawled over. I opened my mouth full of sharp teeth and was about to enjoy this buffet. Suddenly, a cold light shot out from the distant jungle, straight towards my head. I felt a sudden alarm. My 8 legs exerted force, and my body shifted to one side. A black iron-long sword was firmly nailed in the position where I was just. The sword's tail was still buzzing, 3 feet deep. Someone attacked, and it was a human cultivator. I looked up sharply at the direction of the sword key.
I saw in the air
A young man in white.
a young man carrying a sword box was standing on his sword.
His face was stern, surrounded by a sharp sword intent, his eyes on me, as if looking at a pig or dog to be slaughtered.
Unexpectedly, on the outskirts of, I could meet such a different kind of monster. It seems that you have swallowed many good things.
If I take you back and refine you into a sword spirit,
My strength will definitely go up a level.
In late foundation,
The red warning on the system panel is flashing wildly,
this is a real human powerhouse.
10 times more dangerous than that one-horned python.
I stared at him coldly.
His pair of golden vertical pupils slightly shrank.
If before evolution,
I encountered a cultivator of this level.
I could only wait, but now my body has all rated depletion. I let out a hoarse roar
My 8 sharp dragon claws dug into the rock.
and arched my body like a white robe ready to attack. The sword cultist sneered. The sword case behind him suddenly opened. Dozens of swords flew out,
Forming a tight sword net in the air.
with a piercing laughter covering me from all directions.
He wants to chop me into minced meat with this formation.
But I didn't retreat. A cruel smile curled on my lips. I also want to try it. Where the limits of this new body are, I shot out a black arc, just a stectadium,
The black lightning and the sky full of green sword rain.
hit each other hard in midair. It didn't happen as expected, a close match. My mutated Qingmu Black Thunder not only contains the fury of thunder, but also deadly corrosive toxins.
I heard a sour sizzling sound.
Those swords refined from diamond, once they were tainted by black lightning,
Were instantly like pieces of paper splashed by acid.
lost their spirit, and quickly rusted and broke, and then turned into scrap, and fell to the ground with a...
The white-clothed swordsman in midair changed his face. The originally high expression suddenly collapsed. His distressed mouth twitched. These swords are the result of his 10-year savings. I didn't give him a chance to breathe. Taking advantage of the moment, I used 8 strong dragon claws to leap to the ground with its huge body, and suddenly burst out a speed against physical common sense. Turned into a black gold lightning, straight to the air. Sword cultivators usually have high attack. Once close to the enemy, they are fragile. The white-robed swordsman pounced, a flash of panic in his eyes, but he was a strong cultivator in late foundation. He slapped the scabbard, a snow-white sword. A cold-blooded sword flew out with a whistle. Zhuanbing Zan. This sword is much better than the previous one. It carried a biting coldness, piercing through the air, pointing at my eyebrow. It was too fast to dodge. I gritted my teeth. I advanced instead. I slightly tilted my head, and sparks flew everywhere. The sharp natal flying sword cut deeply into the reverse scale on my neck. The pain came. I felt that scale was forcibly split open. The cold sword energy cut into my flesh,
and blood splashed.
but that was all it did. The sword cultivator whitened, resisting his natal flying sword like a ghost. Your body is not a golden core demon king, is it? How could he know? My black golden dragon scales is a product of the ancient void bug and the dragon bloodline. Its hardness is comparable. I withstood the impact of the flying sword. I was less than 3 feet away. I opened my mouth. Dozens of transparent spider silk sprayed out, not to trap him, but directly stuck to the gusara flying sword under his feet. I used all 8 arms. I pulled with tens of thousands of caddies. The swordsman stumbled.
And his body was out of control.
Like a kite with a broken string, I pulled him down from midair. He screamed in horror in the air, trying to cast a spell to stabilize his body, but he forgot the ground is my home court. I had already been ready. At the moment he landed, my mouth full of fangs had already opened wide. The black thunder on my head was pushed to the extreme. I crashed into him like a heavy tank, the protective shield of the swordsman. The moment it touched my black lightning horn, broke like a soap bubble. The sound was no longer metal clash, but a sharp blade. My 2 huge deadly fangs precisely penetrated his chest and nailed him to the ground. The swordsman's mouth gushed with blood. His hands grabbed my cold scales weakly. The vitality in his eyes quickly faded, replaced by endless despair and regret.
He wanted to take others as prey.
But ended up as food in others' mouths. The ancient poison instantly destroyed his internal organs. The cultivator in late foundation.
I didn't hesitate at all. I swallowed it greedily,
The flesh and blood of human cultivators is full of pure spiritual power.
which is more delicious and more nourishing.
Killing a late foundation establishment human cultivator. I gained a lot of experience. Congratulations on upgrading to level 50. 5th level of foundation.
And for levels up, a warm current flows through my body. The wound caused by the flying sword just now healed at a visible speed. The scales become darker and deeper.
I plundered the talent skill and gain a new skill, green sword art. Skill description, host doesn't need a sword. With mental power to control the scales or spikes falling off. To carry out remote attack, the sharpness increases with the host's physical strength.
I imagined that in the future, my whole body scales, turning into thousands of flying blades to shoot at enemies.
The scene is simply beautiful. I exhaled a foul breath. I looked at the ground. Only a pile of tattered Taoist robes wreckage.
Then I looked in the direction of the North Sea. The golden tree pupil is shining with cold light. Now I have the ability to protect myself.
But I need to be stronger. Strong enough to make you tremble.
I heard that there is an ancient dragon tomb deep in. Where is the real place for me to rise?
I turned around.
Dragging my huge and hideous body, disappeared into the dark forest, leaving only the broken natal flying sword, whining in the wind. In the depths of Shiwan Mountains, is shrouded in grey miasma all year round. The sun cannot penetrate since I killed that sword cultivator. I wandered around the forest for another month. I ate all the nearby famous demonic beasts. I ate them all. My level has steadily risen to the 8th level, but the ordinary demon flesh can no longer satisfy my growing appetite. The desire for dragon energy from the depths of my soul tormented me like a drug addiction. So I stepped into the core area of this place called the Forbidden Zone. The trees in the bone forest are all pale white, like countless bones extending from the ground. Their palms are clawing towards the sky. The ground was covered with thick dead leaves. Every step I took made a crunching sound, as if I had crushed the bones of countless unknown creatures. Suddenly a faint cry came into my ears. The sound came from behind a derrist of white bones. If it were an ordinary explorer, hearing such a strange sound, they would have been scared away. But my perception is far beyond ordinary people.
Behind that cry I smelled an extremely tempting smell. I swam over quietly. The 8 amputated limbs were silent. I pushed aside the scene in front of me made me slightly stunned.
I saw a little baby sitting on the open space,
with a braid standing up on his head. He was facing away and wiping away his tears. The cry came from him, and in front of him there was a huge and cracked forest white skull, judging from its shape.
Is indeed a real dragon's skull.
Although it has been weathered for countless years, but the residual pressure
still made my blood boil slightly in my body.
It's really a clue to the dragon tomb. The little baby was crying. He stretched out his chubby little hand,
gently stroked the dragon's skull.
A bizarre scene occurred. With his touch, the extremely hard dragon skull melted like a candle, melted a small piece, turned into a wisp of white smoke, was sucked into the little baby's nose. He hiccuped, and the crying stopped, as if satisfied a little, and then continued to cry. He was eating the keel. My pupils shrank. A prompt popped up on the system.
Ding, found an unknown creature. Target is suspected as a spirit. With a high danger level, it is recommended to Note, the creature has a strong curse aura on it.
This is the first time the system has given me this hint. Even facing the sword cardinal age of Foundation, he has never been so cowardly. My heart was filled with alarm. I instinctively wanted to back up, but this slight movement made a dead branch crack. The crying stopped abruptly. The little red-bellied child facing away from me turned his head slowly 180 degrees. I couldn't help but take a deep breath. There were no facial features, only a huge mouth that reached to his ears. Inside was covered with shark-like serrations. In that mouth made a sharp and piercing laugh that was different. Sharp and piercing laughter. It's a big bug. Kyuki likes eating big bugs the most. The next second, the originally clumsy and cute little doll suddenly disappeared in place. My dynamic vision only barely caught a red after image. Without thinking, I instantly used the skill, but I didn't control external objects, but the scales on my own body. I ignored the pain. I forcibly broke free from more than a dozen black dragon scales. I controlled them to form a shield wall in front of me. A terrifying force hit the scale shield wall. I spat out a mouthful of bloody saliva. I felt like my internal organs were churning. This little monster's physical strength is stronger than mine. It's fun, let's do it again. The faceless little doll squatted in the position I just left, tilted his head. Greedy saliva flowed out of its big mouth. Is this the system's extremely dangerous? It's really exciting, but what Elchion fears the most is a tough guy. Want to eat me? Let's see if you can break a tooth. I jumped up suddenly. The injuries on my body aroused my ferocity. Since I can't compete in strength, then let's see who is more poisonous. I roared to the sky. Black light flourished. Since you are a spirit monster, then I will use the thunder method that can cure evil, plus the highly toxic poison that I'll teach you a good lesson. Centered on me, within 100 meters, turns into a black pool of lightning in an instant. Countless black lightning danced like snakes. In every lightning contains a poison gas strong enough to corrode metal and stone. The bones and dead trees around, as long as they touch a little, will immediately turn into a pool of water and emitting a hissing stench. However, a scene that made my scalp tingle appeared. That faceless little doll actually stood in the center, allowing the violent black thunder, hitting his delicate body. He was not injured, but seemed to be taking a hot shower, but comfortably twisted his body. No, it's not ineffective. It's because of his level, or this kind of spiritual monster, immune to ordinary energy attacks. In the moment I was thinking of a countermeasure, my abdomen was hit hard. That feeling was like being hit by a high-speed train. My hard abdominal shell was instantly dented a large piece.
My huge body was thrown into the air again. Then for Clay can toss me, the little baby actually jumped on my back. His two little hands clenched tightly in the gaps of my scales, its sharp-toothed mouth, and bit down hard on my spine. I felt that the unbearable groan from my spine was heard. My indestructible defense was being rapidly broken. If he bites my spine, I would be completely done. At this critical moment, my mind was spinning rapidly. Physical attacks can't resist. Energy attacks, what else can I do if I'm eaten by him? Yes, he was sucking the essence from the keel just now. He has a strong desire for dragon energy. A trace of ruthlessness flashed in my eyes. Instead, I stopped trying to throw him off. Instead, I mobilized all my essence and gathered crazily to my back. Inside my body, I forcibly the dragon blood that had not been fully digested and mixed it with my own god-killing poison and mixed them together to create an unstable biological bomb. I roared loudly. The wound on my back suddenly burst open. A hot blood column mixed with golden and black gas into the sky and directly sprayed into the that was gnawing on my back. This is not ordinary blood. It's poisonous blood containing the law of devouring. My innate talent is devour. Is not just about eating. In my flesh and blood itself has a domineering attribute of plundering all life. The originally arrogant little doll suddenly let out a shrill scream. He bounced off my back like an electric shock and rolled on the ground. The domineering power of devouring was erupting in his body, which in turn devoured his spirit. This is using poison to fight poison. I seized the moment, ignoring the bloody hole on my back. I endured the weakness and rushed over, take advantage of his illness. With my 8 claws, held down his body rolling on the ground tightly. I opened my bloody mouth and bit down hard on his head. The strange spirit body didn't have the taste of flesh and blood, but rather like a cold jelly. It melted in my mouth, turning into a huge and pure soul power, straight into my sea of mind.
I killed the special creature Yuanling Dragon has successfully killed. I gained a lot of soul essence, and soul strength has greatly improved. Congratulations on learning new skills, Soul Collector. Congratulations on obtaining the key item. The dragon...
A remnant soul. No wonder he's so strong. If he wasn't a remnant soul and low intelligence, I would have died just now. I gasped for breath. I lay on the ground to recover. This battle was too dangerous. I almost capsized in the gutter. When the huge soul power slowly calmed down, I just noticed, with the disappearance of Ghost Dragon's eyes, the dragon's skull that he had bitten in half had undergone a change. It emitted a soft white light. Those lights intertwined in midair and gradually formed the outline of a phantom door. And in the center of the door, there was a gap, exactly matched the shape of the key fragment. The key fragment of the dragon tomb, and this is the entrance to the tomb. My heart was pounding. Wealth comes with risk. The ancients were right, although I'm seriously injured now. But I can feel that behind this door, there is a great opportunity to transform me. I dragged my body and slowly crawled towards the light door. Ancestors of the Dragon Clan, I'm here to pay my respects to you. I sneered. My body disappeared into the light door. As the light faded away, I found myself an extremely magnificent underground palace. There is no sky here, and countless luminous night pearls above, inlaid on the rock wall, like stars. The ground is paved with black jade. Each one is engraved with ancient dragon runes. The air is filled with a heavy pressure. It's the real dragon power. It is 100 times stronger than the fake. 100 times. If it's an ordinary demon, even in the foundation stage, they would be crushed, would be shattered by this pressure. But I'm different. I have the blood of a dragon flowing in me, although impure. But this pressure, instead it makes me feel an inexplicable excitement. I greedily took in the spiritual energy here. Then I focused my gaze on the entrance of the palace. On both sides of the flower beds, there are several plants that are blood red, plants shaped like dragon claws, with a few bright red fruits at the top.
I found the rare long shoe fruit. 500 years effect. Eating them raw can greatly restore blood, strengthen the body, purify bloodline.
It was like someone gave me a pillow.
I dragged my bleeding body. I rushed over a few and sucked in without hesitation. I swallowed several blood fruits without chewing and swallowed them whole.
A hot current instantly exploded in my stomach, flowing through the meridians to the limbs. The big hole in my back bitten by the ghost dragon.
The granulation was writhing
and scabbed off at a visible speed.
And grew brand new and harder black gold scales. Just a few fruits not only healed my wounds,
and my demonic power has even improved.
I licked my lips and looked deep into the palace. There was a long passage
leading to a black altar floating in midair.
I spread out 8 legs, crawling forward along the Black Jade Avenue. But when I reached the middle of the passage, something happened on both sides, which had been standing still. 12 tall half-dragon statues suddenly started to shake. The stone skin on the surface peeled off,
revealing their bronze-colored metal bodies inside.
Their eyes suddenly lit up. 2 blue ghost fires emerged and raised their giant stone axes high.
Those who trespass die.
A dull and mechanical voice echoed in the empty hall at the end of the passage, which was like a dead thing. A huge stone statue kneeling on the ground slowly stood up. The stone statue is 10 meters tall,
holding a rusty mace, a weapon used to kill horses, and covered with heavy bronze armor. The cheek of the stone statue suddenly popped open,
revealing a pair of eyes burning with blue ghost fire.
Warning! The Tombkeeper Puppet Bronze Dragon General. Grade Foundation Establishment. Golden core with high physical no pain sensation. Never give up.
This stone statue is actually an iron lump of half golden core. The Bronze Dragon General didn't give me time to think. He took dozens of steps in one step, the door-sized broadsword in his hand. With a tearing sound of air, slashed down at me. Too fast, too fast. Such a large body can move so fast. I could only throw myself to the side desperately. The big knife slashed hard on the black jade ground. The hard black jade instantly shattered. A crack 20 meters long instantly spread out. The rubble hit me like bullets. The aftershock alone made my blood churn. My eyes turned cold. I rushed towards it in an instant. Since I can't resist head-on, then I'll dislocate your joints. I'm like a flexible gecko, climbing up along its huge leg. My 8 claws turned into phantoms, cutting the joints behind its knees frantically. The joints were sparking, but the hardness of this bronze armor is simply abnormal. My claws only left a shallow white mark on it, and didn't even scratch the oilskin. How can I break through this? Bronze Dragon King seems to be irritated by the bug running around on him, and he didn't turn around, but his whole body suddenly burst out a circle of cyan gas waves. I was directly shaken out and hit the wall in the distance heavily. I spat out a mouthful of blood. This iron lump is simply unsolvable. Physical attacks are useless, and the power is outrageous. At this moment, the bronze dragon raised the broadsword again. On the blade, a layer of blood-red runes lit up on it. He locked onto my weakness. This time it's a fatal blow. Do I have to use that move? I stared at him hard, those eyes burning with ghost fire. The system said it was the soul fire. The reason why the puppet moves is driven by the war spirit inside. As long as the pilot is killed, this Gundam is just a pile of scrap metal. Facing the blade that could split mountains and rocks, didn't retreat, but advanced. In the golden tree pupil, suddenly glowed with a strange purple light. Skill activated. Soul capturing eye. An invisible spiritual storm followed my gaze, piercing directly into the eyes of the... Time seemed to freeze at this moment. The huge sword with the power to destroy the world stopped 3 inches above my head abruptly. The sharp blade even cut off one of my tentacles. The huge body of the bronze dragon general trembled violently and let out a painful roar. Its pair of blue ghost fire eyes were flickering wildly, as if something was about to break free from it. Come out of me. I was bleeding from 7. My mental power was exhausted, but I gritted my teeth. An increased suction. A shrill scream sounded. I saw a semi-transparent blue phantom was forcibly pulled out of the bronze shell by me. Was pulled out without the souls driving. The mighty bronze dragon general instantly lost all its power. With a clang, the giant knife fell. Immediately, the 10-meter-tall body collapsed with a bang and raised a cloud of dust, and then silent, and the blue soul energy flew into my mouth uncontrollably.
My spirit power of War Soul Sword, and gain skill shards, passive copper skin, iron bones.
I felt in my mind there was something exploding. My originally exhausted mental power instantly recovered, and even more condensed. I lay on the corpse of the bronze giant. I breathed a sigh of relief. If it was 1 second later, I would be split in two. This soul collector is indeed the nemesis of this iron lump. After a short rest, I looked up at the floating altar at the end, where there was a huge crystal coffin, and above the coffin, there was a fist-sized, glowing with a brilliant golden light. This is actually a Dragon Ball. My greed in my eyes instantly overcame my fear. Even if there is a sea of fire ahead, I will definitely get this Dragon Ball. I climbed up the altar and was about to reach for the Dragon Ball, but my movement suddenly froze. Because on the other side of the crystal coffin, at some point, there stood a woman in a black gorgeous work suit. She was facing away, her long hair cascading to her ankles. There was no fluctuation of spiritual power, just like a mortal. But mortals appearing in this place is the most terrifying. It seemed to sense my arrival. The woman slowly turned around. It was a breathtakingly beautiful face, pale as paper, and blood-red lips. The most bizarre thing is her eyes. They were 2 blooming flowers. Bloody other side. She looked at me, a hideous giant worm. A playful smile on the corner of her mouth. I've waited for 3,000 years. Finally, a slightly decent snack has come. I was terrified. But I will not wait to die. Strike first to gain. I didn't hold back at all. The accumulated power of thunder burst out instantly. A black lightning thicker than a thigh, straight towards the woman's face. Meanwhile, my tree pupil's purple light shone. I used my soul snatching eye to interfere with her soul. However, the next scene made me feel desperate. Facing the black thunder that could kill a foundation stage, the woman didn't even lift her eyelids. She just gently raised her pale, almost transparent fingers, and with a flick of her finger, the violent black thunder, when touching her fingertips, disappeared like a wisp of smoke, disappeared without a trace. Immediately, he looked at my eyes that were shining purple, with a mocking smile on his lips, playing with souls in front of me. Little bug, do you know who created this soul-drawing technique? It was like a thunderclap in my mind. My soul-drawing magic pupil not only failed, but I was hit by a terrifying backlash. My 7 orifices spurted blood. My huge body collapsed to the ground. The pain of my soul being torn apart almost made me faint. Too strong, not in the same dimension at all. Although it looks ugly, but this body is quite sturdy. It can barely hold a wisp of my soul. The woman in black, or the owner of this dragon tomb, walked towards me step by step. Every step she took, a blood-colored other side flower would grow under her feet. She stretched out her nails turned slender like knives and slowly stabbed at my brow. This is the real dead end. my gaze staring at the golden dragon ball behind her. That's the only variable. I'm doomed anyway. I might as well take a big risk just as his fingers about to touch my scales. My 4 pairs of dragon claws gripped the ground. I used my last bit of mental power. I used the skill I stole from the swordsman. I roared in my heart. The golden dragon ball that was originally floating was suddenly shaken by the pull, and then turned into a golden light. Instead of flying towards my claws, but directly shot into my open mouth. The woman's face changed for the first time. She let out a sharp and angry laugh. Her originally beautiful face instantly became hideous. She reached out to stop it, but it was too late for me. The bead containing majestic dragon energy rolled directly into my stomach. The woman's hand stopped in midair, no longer contempt, but panic. You crazy bug. It's the real dragon demon pill. If you swallow it, and you'll explode without a trace. She backed away, as if I had become a nuclear bomb about to explode. The pain is indescribable. If the previous evolution was a rebirth, now it's like every cell of mine into a meat grinder and crush them, and then pour magma on it.
Warning, warning, of unknown high energy. Energy overload, energy overload. My body is about to collapse. Detecting the host has the Void Godslayer gene and is trying to forcibly fuse. The fusion probability is 1%.
My body suddenly expanded into a huge sphere. Scales were flying off, the golden light shining out from every crack in my body, illuminating the dark underground palace like day. I let out a shrill scream. Madman, since you're going to die, leave Qiao behind. Seeing this, the woman ungritted her teeth and rushed again, trying to forcibly possess me before I explode. At this moment, I was delirious. I felt like there was an ancient beast inside. To break out, I followed my instinct. I opened my mouth at the woman who was charging. A devastating golden pillar of light spurted out of my mouth. It was not an ordinary breath. It was the pure dragon power accumulated for 10,000 years. The woman let out a scream and was directly blown away by the golden light and hit the rock wall in the distance hard, and cracks appeared on her body like broken china, like a porcelain about to break. Although he was strong, but he was just a spirit. After I spewed this breath, my consciousness completely fell into dark. The last glance, I saw the lid of the crystal coffin seem to move slightly. I don't know how long, maybe a moment, or even a century. I felt like I had a long dream, but I woke up from the ruins. The pain was still there, but I wasn't dead. I looked down at my body. I didn't turn into the imagined dragon. My body had grown to 20 meters long. The original worm arm turned into thick black and gold scales. For strong claws grew on the abdomen. The single horn on the head became thicker, and even has a sign of branching, but I still retain some characteristics of insects, such as the pair of sharp bone wings on the back, and the pair of emotionless compound eyes.
Ding, congratulations on surviving. Death warning, evolution stopped. The reason is that the host's bloodline, the insect, demon, and ghost toxins cannot be fused. Dragon, demon. Current state is mutant poisonous dragon. The first solution is to go to the North Sea Dragon Gate, borrow the fire of creation to refine the body, and fuse the dragon to become a real dragon.
It's just a semi-finished. The dragon ball in my stomach is like a hot soldering iron, although it provides a steady stream of power. But if I don't digest it completely soon, I will explode and die. At this moment, the old zombie that crawled out of the coffin let out a deafening roar. Thief, give me back the pearl. A huge white bone hand that covered the sky. With the terrifying pressure of the artifact grabbed towards me fiercely. I can't beat him. Definitely not. Old thing, can I borrow your dragon ball? I'll return it. I screamed loudly, the ancient meaning behind me. I launched the void shuttle with the surging energy of the dragon balls. The distance I traveled this time was far beyond before. Space twisted for a moment. I narrowly avoided that fatal grab and disappeared directly. 100 years later, the sky was covered with dark clouds. Lightning snakes dance. The dark black sea roared wildly and rolled 1,000-foot waves. In the center of this storm that changes the world, a huge arch 10,000 feet, a huge archway carved entirely from white jade, is slowly rising from the sea. The door is carved with reliefs of dragons ascending, exudes an ancient and sacred aura. This is the legendary, the Hualong Gate that opens every 10,000 years. Those who cross this gate will be reborn and become dragons, and below the Dragon Gate, over the rough waves, has gathered countless aquatic monsters, and in the front, there are 9 figures particularly noticeable. They wear various armors, with horns and horns. Each of them exudes the pinnacle of Golden Core, or even half-step infant stage. The 9 sons of the North Sea are also my 9 half-brothers from the same father. They also came for this once-in-a-thousand-year opportunity. Although the Dragon Gate is open, but the dragon's aura is limited. Only the strongest can take this opportunity to achieve the only true dragon fruit. With a loud bang, a black lightning cut through the sky and crashed heavily into the sea, and splashing water into I'm out Qian here. My hideous and huge poisonous dragon body, in front of the dazzling dragon's sons, looked particularly ugly and alien. Who is that with such a heavy aura? It looks so strange. Neither a dragon, nor a worm. The aquatic creature
creatures around were talking.
At this time, the eldest Prince Aokion in the middle.
Cast a cold glance over here. He was wearing golden armor, holding a square halberd. He looked majestic.
When he saw the purple gold unicorn on my head,
His pupil suddenly shrank. This disgusting aura is when junior brother said this.
the other 8 princes also changed their faces.
The one who was skinned and disemboweled and thrown into the mass grave. Wasn't he dead already? How did he come back in this ghostly appearance? The third Prince Eo being sneered.
With contempt in his eyes.
What if he didn't die, turned into this half-human, to even dare to covet the Dragon Gate?
It's a disgrace to our North Sea Dragon clan.
Over the North Sea, tide is rough.
My 20-meter-long, hideous body was floating in the air.
The ancient wings behind me fluttered slightly, causing a stench, and opposite me, 9 dragons of different colors were glaring at me angrily. I sneered.
With a purple gold unicorn on my head. Although I haven't fully integrated the Dragon Balls yet, but my cultivation of golden plus this abnormal defense, I'm not afraid of him. Boom. Our huge bodies hit each other hard in the air. Just a moment.
Dad,
Air-chan was whipped away by my tail 400s of miles.
and a large number of scales fell off.
Screaming in pain, the other 8 dragon sons were shocked. Although the 8th son, but he was also a Mijindan cultivator, was actually repelled by this monster. Let's form a formation. The eldest Prince Eokion frowned, about to attack. Enough. Just then, a majestic low shout sounded like thunder. The sea parted. The North Sea Dragon King in Golden Dragon rose slowly. He didn't show his true form, but the terrifying pressure of the late infant stage instantly made everyone present. All felt breathless. The 9 princes of the Dragon King immediately restrained and bowed respectfully. Shun's indifferent golden eyes swept over me. His eyebrows slightly frowned. A trace of disflash in his eyes, but more of a cold examination. Since you're not dead, then get out of here. Today is the one-centered drag ceremony. Don't miss the auspicious time. He didn't even bother to ask me why I became like this.
And didn't even bother to ask what I'd been in his eyes.
I'm still that insignificant stain.
As long as I don't make trouble, I sneered in my heart. Eo Shun, you probably never dreamed that. What I'm here for today. Just then,
The sky suddenly cracked open a huge gap. A huge stone gate that was magnificent beyond description.
descended slowly from the clouds. It spanned between heaven and earth, exuding an ancient and vast atmosphere.
Then a 1,000-foot-wide silver waterfall.
Actually violated physics, poured down from the stone gate, and fell all the way to the sea.
But what flows through the waterfall is not water.
The bottom layer is a blue gust of wind, which can blow rocks apart. The 9 heavens
Above is a crimson sea of fire,
which can burn everything to ashes. Above that is purple thunder,
which is the purple lightning that defeats demons.
and at the top is also the closest place to the
Is a mountain of knives densely shining with cold light.
The rules of the Dragon Gate trial. Go upstream, overcome for disasters, wind, fire, thunder, and sword. Those who finally cross the gate can reshape their body and achieve the status and inherit the throne of sea. The Sea Dragon King is the king of the entire sea. My father, who judged people by their, is just the North Sea Dragon King.
The voice of the rules of heaven
Resounded in every aquatic's mind.
The eyes of the eldest prince An turned red. Not only him, the breaths of the other 8 dragon sons also became heavy, although they are brothers. But in the face of this supreme temptation, they can even kill their father, let alone. At this moment, 9 figures were like arrows, and scrambling, rushing into the reverse-flowing waterfall. Then I turned into a black light, into the terrifying Longmen waterfall. Once I entered the bottom layer of the wind layer, I felt like I had crashed into a huge meat grinder. The Cyan Gunfeng is like 10,000 knives, cutting my body frantically. I heard screams coming from around. It was countless ordinary water tribesmen. Monsters just rushed in. Their bodies were cut into pieces by the wind. Blood instantly dyed the sea below red. But I'm fine. My body's undergone many mutations, and evolved black gold scales are already harder than ordinary magic tools. Those strong winds slashed at me, only splashing a string of sparks. I sneered coldly. I used all for claws, like a gecko climbing a wall, climbing up rapidly in the countercurrent wind. Soon I caught up with the 9 dragon sons ahead. At this time, they had reached the second layer, true fire. The temperature here is terrifying, where the red flames were rolling and roaring. Lao Ju has the lowest.
Was smoking all over, screaming and struggling to climb up, and his scales were burned and curled up. Seeing me catching up,
And looked relaxed and comfortable. A trace of jealousy flashed in Lao Ju's eyes.
Teacher, you monster, how could you be so fast?
At this moment, my huge tail swung violently.
And hit Luo Ju's stomach hard. Luo Ju let out a scream and was directly flung out by me,
He fell from the second layer of fire.
and heavily smashed into the bottom gank layer. He was already at the end of his tether. After this fall,
He was instantly torn into pieces by the wind.
without even escaping his soul, Dingen directly killed the North Sea Dragon. Lao Ju devoured its dissipated essence.
The progress of the Dragon Ball's fusion is 15%.
Although I didn't eat meat, but under the rules of Dragon Gate, as long as their competitor dies, their luck and fate will automatically transfer to the winner. Then I shuttled through the flames.
And faster,
The remaining 8 instantly reached they stopped charging up, but instead in the true fire layer and the junction of the third layer of thunder. Stopped there, forming a human wall, and blocked my way tightly,
the second Prince Aokun conjured a huge ice shield.
trying to block the surrounding flames, and it also blocked my way.
I looked up sharply.
Looked up at the purple sea of thunder above. I didn't attack them.
Instead, he shot all the god-killing black thunder, all shot towards the purple lightning above their heads.
It was like a drop of water falling into
The originally calm third layer of Thunder Layer,
was instantly violent, countless purple lightning bolts,
like a crazy python.
no longer limited to the third layer, but frantically towards the lower true fire layer. Pouring down, the target was the group of dragons, demon-like dragon sons. The 8 dragon sons were terrified. The originally solid defense line collapsed.
The 7th and 6th were a step too slow. They were directly struck by several thick purple bolts.
Although they didn't die, they were also split open and charred black, screaming and falling from the sky. What awaits them?
They will be killed by the real fire and the Gangfeng.
Ding indirectly killed 6th.
Lao successfully plundered luck.
Dragon Ball Fusion progressed 30%. Taking advantage of this chaos, I activated the immortal dragon body with lightning and fire, like a heavy tank. I rudely broke through their defense line and rushed into the third layer. I bathed in the sea of thunder.
I looked at the figures fleeing in embarrassment above. My murderous intent grew stronger. The mountain of knives at the top is almost within reach.
After passing through the stormy layer,
I finally arrived at
the final level of the Longmen trial. The scene here is more terrifying than the first 3 floors. There is no wind, no fire, nor thunder.
only countless floating blades in the air.
An impact down from top to bottom. What's more terrifying, the gravity here is at the times outside. As soon as I stepped into this area,
I felt like I was carrying a mountain on my back.
my originally flexible movements became sluggish.
Every time I lifted my paw, it consumed Elonic power.
The few cages left ahead were not easy either. Seeing me coming up,
The blood-covered third Prince Ah being turned back and sneered. My black gold scales became fragile in front of this weird saber.
became fragile,
Countless small wounds began to appear on my body.
and dark green blood kept oozing out. But the pain instead aroused the ferocity in my bones.
I swam up little by little.
Then while Eobing wasn't paying attention,
I directly pierced his chest with my sharp claws.
Eobing widened his eyes, and blood gushing from his mouth, and his body exploded.
A round golden pill appeared in front of my eyes.
I swallowed the golden pill without hesitation. Ding, kill the third prince of the North Sea. Dragon Ball Fusion progressed 50%.
I gained the talent of water control.
The remaining 5 dragon sons went crazy. Ignore him climb to the top, as long as crossing the gate, and use the power of heaven and earth to kill him. The eldest prince Eokion's eyes were red, and didn't care about his brother's life, and even kicked away the 4th brother in his way.
Crazy rushing towards the dragon gate that was close at hand. 4th brother looked at it in the big brother who kicked him down. He lost his balance, screaming as he rolled down, and was instantly dismembered. Humanity was completely destroyed. I watched this scene. I felt extremely ironic. Since you want to go up so much, then I'll give you a ride. Void teleportation starts. In this terrifying layer of knives, I can't teleport long distances, but within 10 meters, it's still my domain. I instantly appeared behind the 5th and 10th. 2 huge dragon claws grabbed their tails respectively. I roared loudly. My arms bulged with muscles. Like a whip, I swung them. I swung these 2 dozens of meters long and swung them round, and then slammed them down hard, accompanied by 3 desperate screams. At this time, only the first Prince Aokion and the second Prince Aokun. They had climbed to the end of the mountain of knives. Ahead, the Hualong Gate that emits endless divine light. Brother, help me block him. When I become the dream, I'll make you the marshal. The first Prince Aokion suddenly turned and shouted at Aokun behind him. Kun was stunned before he could speak. A trace of ruthlessness flashed in Aokion. He slapped Aokun on the chest with a palm. The second Prince Aokun spat out blood, and his body flew backward uncontrollably and just hit me who was rushing up. I caught the seriously injured Aokun, looking at his eyes full of resentment and despair. I had no mercy at all. With a click, I didn't hesitate to break his neck, and devoured the last bit of essence in his body. Devoured it. Dragon Ball Fusion progress 80%. Now I'm 1 step away from perfection, and the final step is right in front of me. I threw Aokun's body away, using all my limbs, and ran wildly on the mountain of knives, ignoring the severe pain of being cut. In my eyes, only the golden back that was about to cross the dragon gate. Prince Aokion, half of his body had already passed through the dragon gate. He shouted with joy, just as his back foot was about to step over. A bloody black Hardium Slungerdy black claw grabbed his ankle tightly. Let go, you crazy man, let go. The first Prince Aokion's half body was hanging outside. If he moved forward an inch, he could bathe in the light of the true dragon, but my claws were like iron pliers, held his ankle tightly, and my nails deeply dug into his scales. Brother, when you kicked the second brother down just now, you didn't let go of him. I sneered. My arms bulged like rocks with muscle, ignoring the saber energy that was cutting my body. I pulled him back with all my strength. With the desperate roar of the owl, his huge body was. I pulled him back from Jackie Chan's dream, back to the hellish reality. I didn't give him any chance to fight back. At the moment he fell, I directly used Void Teleport, teleported above him to Dragon Claws, grabbed his dragon horn and twisted it hard. The sound of his broken neck was clear and pleasant. This Hakin, I opened my mouth that could devour the world, and bit down on the still twitching Prince of the North Sea. Ding, kill the Crown Prince of Beihai. I swallowed the strongest dragon blood. The Dragon Ball Fusion progress is 100. The precondition is met, ultimate evolution is starting. With the last bit of luck entering my body, the Dragon Balls in my body exploded and turned into countless golden runes and merged into every drop of my blood and every bone. Meanwhile, I jumped with the pressure of mountains of knives. I jumped over thousands of mountains and crossed the Dragon Gate of 10,000 years. The world seemed to freeze. The suffocating gravity disappeared, replaced by a warm and vast chaotic vitality like the mother. My body began to disintegrate. The ugly worm shell fell off. My bloated abdomen shrank. The semi-transparent bone wings shattered, turning into pure black streamer. A dragon roar like never before resounded throughout the sea and even spread to the three realms. The light of the sky faded. A 1,000-foot-long black dragon stretched across the sky. It's covered with obsidian engraved with void runes, dragon skin, for powerful dragon claws, burning with purple demonic fire.
With 2 pairs of void magic wings that cover the sky.
The purple gold horn on its head seems to pierce the sky. No longer a flood, nor a worm, but the legendary,
The ancient void dragon that has long been extinct.
Host, the young Aeotian race, the ancient void dragon. Initial stage of infant, talent space master, black thunder of god. Invulnerable to all, the power of the dragon. I hovered above the 9 heavens, overlooking the tiny North Sea below. A furious roar broke the silence. Shun the North Side Dragon King guarding the gate, saw all his 9 sons were killed, while I, a bastard, actually succeeded in becoming a dragon. He was already so angry that he lost his mind. Shun showed his 1,000-foot golden dragon form and wrapped the entire North Siege and crashed towards me crazily. In the later stage, the breath of the Great Perfection was fully released. He intended to kill my newly transformed dragon. If it were before, I might have been afraid. But now, Fossey, now, I looked at the charging father indifferently, only with deep mockery in my eyes. I didn't use any spells. I just quietly stretched out a dragon claw. Space imprisonment. Eoa Shun's menacing figure suddenly stopped 10 meters away from me. He was terrified to find. The space around him seemed to have turned into an impregnable cage. No matter how he urged his demonic power, he couldn't even move a finger. My void demon wings behind me gently flapped, appeared in front of him instantly. The huge black dragon claw lightly choked his throat. You once treated me like grass. Today, I will let you taste what despair is. No, I am the North Sea Dragon. I was named by the Heavenly Court. Black lightning followed my claws into his body and frantically devoured his infant and vitality. In the horrified eyes of countless aquatic beings, the once mighty North Sea Dragon King's body dried up at a visible speed and finally turned into a mummy and dissipated into the world with the sea breeze. A peerless dragon ball emitting a brilliant light fell into my palm. I casually swallowed this dragon ball containing the dragon ball of his life into my stomach.
My colton scaced.
Approaching the perfect infant, the world was silent, and millions of sea creatures trembled and dared not breathe heavily. I hovered in the sky. A huge shadow covered the entire sea surface. Its purple gold vertical pupils swept coldly below. From today on, nameless Artan, Lord of the North Sea. All dragons rise and fall, and the 4 seas trembled. That once in the ancient jar, the humble bug struggling for survival, has finally at this moment, has become the true master of this world.
But looking at the distant eastern sky,
I know this is just the beginning. My body has become a saint.
but my cultivation is only infant.
The road ahead is still long. My journey is the sky full of runes and the endless starry sky.